Disclaimer, I do not own any rights to any content, videos, research, music, unless it is of my own creation. Everything is for entertainment and commentary purposes. All information is of my own opinion or are alleged until factual evidence has been presented. Cue the music. Okay, you guys, I'm just gonna jump right into it. And the discussion for today is no other than Cassie versus Diddy Daddy Love Holmes. On the trading board is courthousenews.com on Wild with Tasha K and OnlyFans. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to an actual live and in-person video of all things CC. Here is my take. This is going to be episode 23. Y'all, I was going to come on here and talk about the Jeezy interview with Nia Long and the Krishan Rock and the Tamar situation, but I said, not this time. Y'all, I had to get on here and I need to talk about these allegations regarding Cassie and Diddy Daddy Love, Sean Combs, baby, because I'm like, I go to sleep and this morning it's just all over my timeline. So, I had to watch everything and try to get an understanding of everything. Y'all, it is a 35-page complaint that was filed from Cassie versus Diddy Daddy Love. Okay, Sean Combs. And I will be reading some of it. I'm not going to read every page because I just don't have time for it. This video will be too long. It would be two separate videos if I read everything, and I just really don't want to. But we'll see how I feel, going further into it. But y'all, the chickens have come to roost, and I am here for it because there has been many instances where Diddy name has came up in questionable actions and situations. And yeah, it's time. Oh, excuse me, it's time. I'm like, I don't know what Diddy Daddy Love did to the white man, the masses in the industry, the head motherfuckers in charge, but they coming after his ass. Yes. So it's a lot of things that I have found that I'm going to be posting, and then I'm going to be talking about and everything like that. And yeah, so this might be my longest YouTube upload ever because it's just so detailed and so like this is like a bombshell that dropped because nobody saw this coming. But this is what and why I think he decided to change his name to Brother Love and try to have this persona that he is all about love and peace and everything like that, because he knew that what allegedly he has done to this girl and many others, I'm sure, he's trying to clean his plate off. And it's like, so look, you can't clean up nothing, because what somebody have in their mind and what they endure, their experiences, you can't take that away from them. And based off of the court documents, that means that Cassie did keep some evidence. She did keep some stuff. He probably didn't think that she probably took some stuff or whatever, but she had to take some type of evidence or something in order to get this complaint going. So kudos to her for that, for having some type of proof to back up her claim, because these are serious allegations now. I know a lot of people like, oh, she's just doing this because she ain't got no money. Her money running low. Her husband ain't making no money. Woo. And it's just like, his attorney actually said the same thing too. But it's like, if that was the case, $30 million, she would have asked for more than that if she really wanted some money. Because $30 million ain't enough for my pain and suffering. It really ain't, especially if I gotta constantly go to therapy sessions and I'm still having withdrawals of drugs or whatever the case may be. Whatever her lifestyle has been, despite her getting married and having children, the trauma doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, y'all, this is gonna be a nice little video. So y'all go ahead and get ready. Y'all, I got my tea. I said because this is some real tea for real. Okay. It's what is it? Aki berry, and I added some French vanilla coffee cream in it. Have y'all ever had tea with coffee cream in it? If you haven't, you need to try it. But anyway, let's go on ahead and get started because this is about to get messy. Okay, so for whatever reason, I can't find the video that I did way back when the whole situation came about Diddy giving his artists their publishing rights or whatever the case may be. And Aubrey O'Day did an interview, and I remember I did that video, but I can't find it for some reason. But I'm going to find the original interview, and then I'm going to play a little clip of that, because she has been saying for a long time, that's one thing about Aubrey O'Day, she is going to speak her piece and she's not going to be afraid. This has been going on between them two way back making the band days. Like, she always had a big voice, a boisterous voice, and it makes you wonder even more now that the allegations are out, why he was giving the publishing away. Because he probably felt like, if I give this publishing and stuff away, then, you know, there's nothing nobody else can ask me for, or whatever the case may be. He had hidden agendas regarding all of that, and now everything is coming to the surface and everything is starting to make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to find that video and then I am going to play it.
So this one has been bittersweet for me because as I've gotten older, I've let go of a lot of the trauma, and I've learned to really appreciate some of the more personal, beautiful moments I've had with him. And he is the first person that gave me a platform to show my talent to the world. You know, and that was at 17. I'm 39 now. So I have a hard time talking about him. Before it was no good. Now I feel loving moments for moments that we had together. But this banner that he's painted himself with all weekend long, this has been the Labor Day talk in my world, that he's paying back all of the bad boy artists. I just want to throw you the facts, okay?
Sure.
The deal that we were offered, and when I say we, not every artist got it. Like, Day 26 did not get it. But this is what it is. You can have your rights back to your music after Puff went under and somebody else bought our catalog. So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $14, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that? 48 million?
Yeah, something like that. I'm a mathematician, but maybe.
So $48 million somebody made on me.
Yeah.
I did not make anything. When I said I did Christina Aguilera for free, I didn't do Christina Aguilera for free, but the record label recouped it all. We were in debt at the end of that tour.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So I worked for free for the first 6-7 years of my career, basically. And also MTV was not paying us. And this is another part that I have that I feel some kind of way about, because MTV since then, in these recent years, has brought back every big cult show, meaning it had millions of followers and it was at least 6 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Making the Band is one of those. They brought back Real World. They brought back Jersey Shore. They brought back Laguna Beach. Making the Band is the only one that they did not bring back. And Making the Band is the only cult MTV show that made that network, one of them, that they have never played in one rerun. Not one rerun. So I'd like to know why. And if it has something to do with Diddy, then again, what I'm wondering is when this benevolent man who's just now had a change of heart and has decided to pay us as talent and also as writers, we're credited with publishing. So basically, we only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years It's about $800, $900, some in the hundreds, okay? And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music, or EMI, or Sony ever in public.
So that you just got recently for this thing?
I got it a few months ago when
Okay.
Now, remember when I read in the complaint that Diddy said that he was going to blow up somebody's car because he was interested and romantically interested in Cassie? Well, that person's car was allegedly no one other than Kid Cudi himself. Yes, Kid Cudi. This is the picture of Kid Cudi right here, if you guys are not familiar with what he looked like. But his car indeed had got blown up not long after Diddy told Cassie that that's what he was going to do. So not only is Diddy a controller, a pimp, he's dangerous. He's very dangerous, and he mentally unstable. I'm sorry. Like I said, anybody that got to keep changing their name damn near every fucking 10 years or whatever, something wrong with them mentally. Because man, stick to one thing, Diddy Daddy Love. Stick to it. Stick to one thing. But yeah, Kid Cudi is a guy that got his car blew up because of Cassie. Okay, so we have a lot of people talking about this situation quite naturally, and you have a couple of celebrities that came out and they are in support of Cassie. Aubrey O'Day, which is one of them, and I will post her comment down here somewhere. Her band member Don Rashad, she also posts in support of Cassie as well, which is odd for me because y'all know that out of all of Danny Kane, Don Rashad was the one that Diddy worked with him and the other girl, and they made the group called Dirty Money. So she has always been, kind of close to Diddy. And now I'm hearing that Don Rashad was just recently on his Love album, whatever, this newer album that he put out. She's on one of the records. So I'm like a little confused about Don Rashad and what her position is in the midst of all of this, because you can't be supporting this girl but then doing music with this man. Like, what ties does he have over you? But that's a whole nother situation. Not here to talk about that. But I also have good old Azalea Banks. You know that girl gonna come out and she gonna read people. She gonna talk about people. Like, I don't care for her. For somebody who is not really in the industry, has a whole lot of shit to say about the motherfuckers in the industry. But I'm gonna go on ahead and I'm gonna show y'all what she posted. Check this out. This is true. One time Diddy beat her up so bad he sent her on a 3-week vacation to Hawaii just so no one would see or question how her face got like that. Another violent hip-hop homosexual. This is what mental illness looks like for all of you armchair psychologists. Man, this girl. Okay, y'all, so I pulled up the court documents on my tablet, and y'all, it is 35 pages. And listen, it even has a trigger warning on it. So in these 35 pages, it's going to be some very, very graphic, detailed information with this complaint. This is the first document that has been filed in regards to all these allegations against Puffy Diddy Daddy Love, Sean Combs. And y'all, I don't think I'm gonna read everything. And if I do, it might be a part 2 to this. But I'm gonna read as much as I can, because this right here, this is some serious stuff, y'all. So case number 123 CV 10098, docket 1, that was filed yesterday, November 16th. There is a complaint, jury trial demand. So eventually they are going to want to go to trial with this because they have presented some evidence, proof to start the process. and everything like that. So Cassandra Ventura, who is Cassie, who we all know as the artist that was signed to Diddy and later became into a relationship with him, whatever the case may be. So she is suing him, Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises LLC, and Dope Corps 1 through 10. Ooh-wee. Trigger warning, this document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including SA. Okay? Plaintiff Cassandra Ventura, who's also known as Cassie, so I'm going to just start calling her Cassie in the place of her government name, hereby alleges as and for her complaint against defendant Sean Combs, Puffy Diddy Daddy Money, Love, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises LLC, and Dope Corporations 1 through 10. Together, defendant corporations, and together with Mr. Combs, defendants as follows. So, preliminary statement. This is just pretty much the whole basis of the complaint and the attempt for a lawsuit. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive popularly known by his stage name Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Diddy. Mr. Combs came to fame in the early 1990s with his record label Bad Boy Records. He rose to prominence in the music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. In 2022, Mr. Combs received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. During his acceptance speech, Mr. Combs stated, "I have to give a special shout out, thank you, love to the people that was really there for me." He named a number of people before adding, "and also Cassie, for holding me down in my dark times, love." Now, I'm just stop right there. So this just lets me know that in the midst of him getting this award, these things were playing out behind the scenes. He knew that there was something that Cassie was doing, okay? And for him to even mention her name in his speech, I feel like he was gaslighting her, like he was trying to say something without saying something, or he was just trying to portray himself as being this Mr. Love that he called himself now, to try to dissociate himself from his previous names that he has provided. And let me just tell y'all something. Somebody that constantly got to change their name damn near every 5-10 years, something wrong with them. Something wrong with them. He's trying to portray now that he's all about love and he's all about peace and he just wants everybody to get along and woo woo woo. Diddy, we know that you have been talked about throughout the industry for many, many years, and a lot of allegations have been placed upon you. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. But let me go ahead and keep going. Number 3. The truth, however, is that Cassie, Miss Cassandra Ventura, was held down by Mr. Combs and endured over a decade of his violent behavior and disturbed demands. For Cassie, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking, or ex-trafficking, among other violent and unlawful acts. Mr. Combs, great, without the G, Cassie in her own home after she tried to leave him, often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on Cassie, resulting in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding. Blew up a man's car after he learned that he was romantically interested in Cassie. Forced Cassie to engage in sex acts and male workers while pleasing himself and filming the encounters. Ran out of his apartment with a firearm in pursuit of a rival industry executive whom he learned was nearby. Demanding that Cassie to carry his firearm in her purse just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is, and introduced Cassie to a lifestyle of excessive alcohol and substance abuse and required her to procure illicit prescriptions to satisfy his own addictions. So, you were having her put prescriptions and stuff in her name to make it seem like it was for her, but it was actually for you because you was probably abusing the power of prescriptions and whatever the case may be. Number 4, Cassie met Combs in 2005 when she was 19 years old and he was 37 years old. He signed her to his label Bad Boy Records and within a few years lured Cassie into an how you say that? Ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him. Her boss, one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry, and a vicious, cruel, and controlling man nearly 2 decades her senior. 5. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over Cassie's personal and professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. He provided unprecedented avenues for success for the aspiring artist, but in return demanded obedience, loyalty, and silence. 6. Throughout their relationship, Mr. Combs was prone to uncontrollable rage and frequently beat Cassie savagely. These beatings were witnessed by Mr. Combs' staff and employees of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Combs' related businesses, but no one dared to speak up against their frightening and ferocious boss. 7. Following these episodes of horrific abuse, Mr. Combs would immediately attempt to hide Cassie and the evidence of his violent rage. He often showered her with gifts following incidents of physical violence, a typical pattern of behavior by serial abusers. 8. In addition to the physical assaults, Mr. Combs frequently reminded Ms. Ventura Cassie of his ability to cause serious harm, whether by requiring her to carry his gun in her purse or by blowing up the car of a musician that was romantically interested in Cassie. 9. Added insult to injury, Mr. Combs used illegal substance and threats of violence to force Cassie into repeated unwanted adult-like encounters with male workers. 10. Over the years that Mr. Combs abused Cassie physically and sexually, she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far as to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry, which is common amongst a lot of men who are in power in the industry and got girls who want to be famous and succeed, whatever. They definitely will hold that over their head because they feel like they can, and they know that they can, especially when you're 19 years old, such as Cassie. Just because you're 18, 19, 20 does not make you mature enough to make decisions. You still are in a childlike mind at those ages. So quite naturally, it was very, very easy for Diddy Daddy Love to attract himself to her and want her because he seen something in her that was easy manipulative. 11. When she believed that she had finally separated from her longtime abuser, she joined Mr. Combs for dinner, after which he forced her into her home and raped her without the G, while she repeatedly said no and tried to push away. Yeah. Okay. Number 12. Cassie has now fully escaped Mr. Combs, but the harm that the assaults and sexual abuse he caused her to experience for nearly a decade will forever haunt her. She has required intensive medical and psychological care to recover from the trauma she lived through. 13. She cannot, however, continue to live in silence about what she endured. Mr. Combs remains immensely powerful and immensely dangerous. Cassie therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with threats of violence, excessive use of drugs, physical and psychological abuse, and adult slavery. Accordingly, Cassie brings this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of federal ex-trafficking laws, New York, the New York State Human Rights Law, the New York City Human Rights Law, the Gender Motivated Violence Act NYC admin, the New York Service for Victims of Human Trafficking, the California Sexual Abuse and Cover Up Accountability, and the California Trafficking Victims Protection Act Civil Code 525. So that right there tells me that she is eventually going to go to California and try to pursue, filings there as well. Because I know a lot of people, since I have been following this since this morning, a lot of people is like, is she going to pursue other states since a lot of these things have transpired across state lines? And for some states, and I believe California is one of them, where there is no statute of a limitation against great without the G allegations. For New York, it is, I think it's for what, criminal is like 7 years, and for like civil or something like that, it's like 20 years or something like that. So this is a civil. This is not even criminal. This is civil, from what I'm understanding. And by it being civil, she had up until November 23rd, 2023 to get her filing in before she met the statute of limitation. So at this point, she's playing chess. She knew she was in the process of getting her paperwork and her evidence together so that she could go ahead and file that. And she needs to get every dime that she is requesting, and probably some more, because enduring stuff like that for that long is crazy. Okay? And not to mention, I'm just gonna keep reading, and I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say after the fact. Okay. So, like I said, I'm not gonna read everything in its entirety, because you guys can go back and read for yourself. I got this from, I'll tell y'all that in a minute as well, where I got the document from, but you could just Google it. I guess she gave you guys the case number, so you could just type in the case number and the document should actually just pop up. But parties. Plaintiff Cassie, or Cassandra Ventura, is a resident of the state of California and Connecticut, and was employed by defendant Bad Boy Records LLC and Bad Boy Entertainment and related entities. Among them, Doe Corporations 1 through 10 from 2006 to 2019. At all relevant times herein, Cassie met the definition of an employee of defendants under all relevant statutes. Defendant Sean Combs, Diddy Daddy Love, upon information and belief, resides within the state of California. At all relevant times herein, Mr. Combs met the definition of an employer of plaintiff under all relevant statutes. Defendant Bad Boy Entertainment is a music, media, and entertainment company founded by defendant Sean Combs, which includes the record label defendant Bad Boys Records LLC. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of a plaintiff within the meaning of applicable statutes. Defendant Bad Boy Records is a Delaware limited liability company with a principal place of business located in New York, New York. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Defendant Epic Records is a New York-based record label owned by Sony Music Entertainment, a subsidiary of Sony Corporation of America. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Defendant Combs Enterprise LLC is a New York limited liability company. At all relevant times, defendant was an employer of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Defendant Doe Corporations 1 through 10 are corporations and entities affiliated and associated with the defendants Sean Combs and the defendants corporations. At all relevant times, defendant Doe Corporations 1 through 10 were employers of plaintiff within the meaning of all applicable statutes. Whew. So it goes to factual allegations. And baby, when I tell y'all that the attorneys that is representing Cassie, their wordplay is impeccable. The wordplay is impeccable. Factual allegations. Teenage Miss Ventura meets middle age Mr. Combs as her career begins. See, it's all about the wordplay when you gotta when you try to take things to court and you want to try to get, you know what I'm saying, stuff in your favor. You got to know how to play the game with the words as a lawyer and everything like that. So they knew exactly what to say to get the gasping and the oh my god, the yeah, teenage Miss Ventura meets middle age Mr. Combs. Miss Ventura, Cassie, met Mr. Combs in late 2005 or early 2006 after Mr. Combs heard Cassie's first single playing in a club and expressed interest in signing her to his label, Bad Boy Records. At the time, Cassie was 19 years old. Mr. Combs was 37 years old. Within months, in February 2006, Cassie signed a 10-album deal with Mr. Combs' record label. Okay, now see, stop right there. Stop right there. What record label has ever signed an artist with a 10-album deal? That in itself is cause for concern, because I don't want to be tied down with somebody for 10 albums, because that could take years. And the fact that my albums are in the record label's hands, they can shelve my shit. They can, you know what I'm saying? They can drag it along to where I can never leave. Like, it's so many things that could go wrong with that. With like 10 albums. Like, Cassie was a good singer, but she was not like a Beyonce, Fantasia, Jennifer Hudson and all that. She wasn't on that level. Yeah, she had a decent album that got her on the billboards, but she never was that big of a deal like that for her to be signed to a 10 album deal. That alone right there lets me know that he wanted to trap her. She had nowhere to go. He did that intentionally. He did that intentionally. I have never, ever heard of any record label having an artist sign a 10 album deal. Never. Okay, but carry on. Cassie's first album was released in August 2006, debuting at number 4 on the US Billboard 200. To promote the album, Cassie made television appearances on MTV's Total Request Live and BET's 106 & Park. Cassie suffered from significant performance anxiety during these appearances, and press outlets were highly critical of Cassie's performances on these shows. Mr. Combs, however, sought to rehabilitate his newly signed talent, telling MTV News, "You can hear the nervousness in her voice, and to be honest, I kind of smiled at it because it made me really appreciate what I really loved about her. She's a regular person. It just made me appreciate that she got nervous, and it was kind of cute to me, to be honest. You've got to understand that success for her is coming out of nowhere. It's just so huge, and sometimes everybody handles it differently." So the fact that you even talking about her nervousness and all that stuff, which is cute, like, that shit turned him on. That shit turned him on. Like, ugh. Let's go down to something else, because it's a lot of bullet points, you guys. It's a lot of bullet points. So I'm just gonna skim through this. So Roman numeral number 2, because the first one was the teenage Ventura meets middle-aged Combs. Roman numeral number 2, Mr. Combs lures Cassie into a relationship. Despite her clear rejection of Combs' advances, Combs continued to demand Cassie spend time with him, including for a weekend at Combs' residence in Miami and for nights out in New York City. On one particular night around September 2007, Combs insisted on taking Cassie out. Cassie, fearing that rejecting Mr. Combs' request would have repercussions for her album deal with Mr. Combs and his company, Bad Boy Records, Mr. Combs picked up Cassie from her apartment in Manhattan in a blue luxury vehicle. Cassie was surprised that when she got into the car, Mr. Combs was already He was already tipsy. He was already high. He was already ready, okay? He handed her a pill and told her to take it. When Cassie asked what the pill was, Mr. Combs dismissed her and told her she would like it. She later learned the pill was ecstasy. My God. Something Cassie had never before tried and did not want to try. This was the first time Mr. Combs got Cassie high. Woo-wee. Mr. Combs then proceeded to drive recklessly at very high speeds down the West Side Highway of Manhattan. Cassie was very scared, did not dare to object to Mr. Combs, who appeared drunk, high, and agitated. Mr. Combs took Miss Ventura to an upscale lounge in downtown Manhattan, where he proceeded to get into an altercation with the security staff who would not permit Mr. Combs to enter, presumably because he was belligerent. Miss Ventura decided to go home, but for the remainder of the night, Mr. Combs messaged Cassie constantly, complaining that she left him high and alone. In early fall 2007, Mr. Combs flexed his power and influence when he paid a promoter to create a fake flyer for a party hosted by Cassie. This fake posting allowed Cassie to have an excuse to go to Miami, Florida, and get her away from her boyfriend by using the guise of a legitimate event she had to attend. Cassie was stunned at how easily Mr. Combs was able to recruit others to lie for him. That's crazy. Like, he wanted her that bad? Like, that's crazy. Cassie was uncomfortable with the flyer, but because the request to go to Miami was made by the owner of her record label, and because she was scared to go against his wishes and face repercussions to her nascent career, Cassie agreed to join Combs in Florida. During this trip to Miami, Mr. Combs provided Cassie with copious amounts of drugs. She became more intoxicated than she ever had before, and her intoxication lasted throughout the weekend trip. As she wanted Mr. Combs to continue to support her career, she felt she could not refuse Mr. Combs urging her to take more drugs. After providing her with drugs, Mr. Combs had adult playtime with Cassie during the trip. See, I'm trying, like, certain words are trigger words. I'm trying to find other words to say in place of that so that can still make sense. Mr. Combs had adult time with Cassie during this trip. Within 2 years of meeting Mr. Combs, Cassie found herself lured into the immediate circle of her boss, the owner of her record label, and one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry. Child. Roman numeral number 3. Mr. Combs exerts control over Miss Ventura's career and personal life. From the very start of their relationship, Mr. Combs exerted his power and influence over Miss Ventura. This dynamic was fueled by their nearly 20-year age difference, as well as their relative positions in the entertainment industry, with Mr. Combs considered a music mogul and Miss Ventura at the very start of her career as an entertainer. Ooh-wee. Like, this is so detailed. Like, it's giving, like, year by year by year by year by year. And it just makes me wonder that when she finally did leave him and she got married and she had children, she was planning to do this all along. Like, this is not something that she just decided yet over the weekend, oh yeah, I'm about to go ahead and press charges against them. This is not something that happened overnight, because for one, courts don't even work like that. You gotta have all your paperwork in order, proof, all that stuff to start a complaint. You have to have all that stuff in order, and then the judge has to look at it and he has to say, okay, you know what, this could be something that can go to court. So this was being prepared months in advance. So yeah, like, this is very, very detailed, y'all. I'm not about to read all this. I will probably read it off camera, but I just wanted to skim and read some of the things that have been said, some of the bullet points. Okay, Mr. Combs and Cassie's relationship became violent and abusive. What started as a whirlwind of celebrity meetings and drug and alcohol fueled parties, however, quickly turned frightening and violent. Cassie was also exposed to the intense violence that pervaded Mr. Combs' rise to fame. For example, on one occasion when Mr. Combs and Cassie were using drugs together in his home, one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight, a longtime rival of Mr. Combs, was spotted at Mel's Drive-In Diner in Los Angeles. Mr. Combs began to get dressed, retrieved multiple guns from a safe, and ran out of his home to where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Cassie became terrified and began to cry. On at least two occasions, Mr. Combs demanded that Cassie hold Mr. Combs' gun in her purse. She had no knowledge with guns and was petrified that the firearm would accidentally go off in her purse. There was no clear reason why Mr. Combs required her to hold his guns except to reinforce to his young girlfriend that he was violent, powerful, and dangerous. And on top of that, he wanted her to take the fall if need be. He was going to say that it was not his gun. Now, I don't know if y'all remember the situation when he was with J-Lo and he put the gun up under J-Lo's seat in the car and said that it was hers or whatever. He was about to rat her out so that he did not have to go to jail. He is a whack ass nigga. He's fake and something is wrong with him. Because J-Lo was about to catch a charge. Yes. I don't know if y'all remember that. Let's see. In one such instance, after a party with Jay-Z, Mr. Combs beat Cassie repeatedly in an Escalade, including by kicking and hitting her. He forced her out of the vehicle on Fifth Avenue in New York City. She was eventually able to hail a cab and get to her apartment in Manhattan, where she cried in fear, realizing there was no one she could tell about what happened at the hands of this incredibly powerful man. She spent the subsequent 3 days hiding in her apartment. In January 2009, Mr. Combs learned that Cassie spoke to another music manager at a party in Los Angeles. He became enraged. She had hoped speaking to this manager would allow her to further grow her career and that Combs would be happy for her, but instead he became extremely angry and pulled her out of the club where the party was taking place. Now, I don't know why she thought he was going to be happy. He already slapping you up, girl. He ain't gonna be happy that you going to somebody else to try to take away his power and stuff like that. That's nah. That don't work for a narcissist, baby. In the car leaving the club, Mr. Combs beat Cassie, pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stomping on her face. Mr. Combs' security staff, Roger Bonds, tried to stop the beating but was unable to de-escalate the situation. When the car arrived at Combs' residence, Cassie attempted to run away, but Mr. Combs followed her and proceeded to again kick her in the face. Cassie was bleeding profusely and was ushered into Mr. Combs' home, where she began to throw up from the violent assault. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Mr. Combs forces Cassie into trafficking, and y'all know what that means. Within a few months of beginning a romantic relationship with 40-year-old Mr. Combs, the 22-year-old Miss Ventura Cassie felt beholden to his whims and demand. Can we really say that it was a romantic relationship, though? It was more coerced. It was more groomed. It wasn't nothing romantic about that. The way he came at her, there was nothing romantic about that from her perspective, from her end. She was forced into this type of situation. While in New York City, Mr. Combs told Cassie that he wanted to engage in a fantasy of his called voyeurism. Mr. Combs said that it would turn him on if he saw Cassie with another penis. I'm not going to say the actual word. The first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man into his home in Los Angeles, the man, Mr. Combs, and Cassie wore masquerade masks and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Cassie to perform acts with this man while Combs watched them. He He pleased himself while he directed Cassie and the man to do specific acts. The entire encounter lasted multiple days. Mr. Combs began to call the arrangement a freak off or FO. He would repeatedly tell Cassie at random moments that he wanted an FO, and Cassie was eventually expected to facilitate the location and the hiring of male workers. At certain points during Cassie and Combs' relationship, he would insist on the FO weekly. Mr. Combs would repeatedly tell Cassie that this practice was our thing and our secret. FOs will often take place in hotel suites, including at the Trump International Hotel in Columbus Circle. What is it? Beverly Hills, the London Hotel in Los Angeles, the Intercontinental Century City, the Intercontinental Atlanta, the Intercontinental New York City, the One Hotel in New York and in Miami, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in New York and in Miami. Ooh-wee. Pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere. On one occasion around 2013, Combs had an FO set up at the Intercontinental Hotel in New York City, after which he was charged with tens of thousands of dollars in damages by the hotel. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs' chief of staff, Tony Fletcher, paid the invoice charged by the hotel. Ooh-wee. My goodness. Let's see. During the FOs, in addition to directing Cassie and pleasing himself, would use his phone, laptop, and tablet to film Cassie having adult time with the hired worker. He treated the forced encounter as a personal art project, adjusting the candles he used for lighting to frame the videos he took. While Cassie quickly deleted any photographs or videos of acts if they were taken on her phone, Combs repeatedly made clear that he retained many videos of Cassie during FOs. Now, see, why was he even using her phone in the first place? Why was he using her phone in the first place? The only reason why I could see that he was using her phone in the first place is so that it would not be traced back to him. It was something that she wanted to do. That's what it seemed like. He was setting her up and put stuff in place to make everything not fall on him. He's a creep. He's a creep. He's a creep. He's a creep. Even when she deleted the videos, Combs would tell Cassie that he was able to recover deleted videos from her devices. On one occasion, he sat next to her on a flight and made her watch a video she thought she had deleted, reinforcing her inability to escape and immense power he held over her. He's a fucking creep. He's a fucking creep. He's a fucking creep. Cassie tries to escape Mr. Combs' abuse. Anytime she tried to create distance between her and Combs, he uses his networks to find her and convince her to return to his abuse. During this FO, Mr. Combs found Cassie's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Ms. Combs became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunged at Cassie. Cassie ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Combs' wrath. Soon thereafter, one of Combs' staff members told Cassie that he needed to just talk to Combs, even though Combs was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Combs and his network of enforcers, Cassie returned to Combs. He hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run out the door. She went to her parents' home in Connecticut, where her mother took pictures of the bruises Mr. Combs left on Cassie's body. In February 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Combs told Cassie that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. My God. My goodness. My goodness. When Mr. Combs Head of security assistant saw. Oh, I gotta go up one or two. Cassie was terrified as she began to fully comprehend what Mr. Combs was both willing and able to do to those he believed in that slighted him. In 2015, Cassie spoke to a popular music manager at an after party in a hotel suite in Las Vegas. Combs saw her speaking to this manager and sternly told her to step into the bedroom adjoining the suite. In the bedroom, Combs beat Cassie severely. She ran from corner to corner of the room, trying to avoid Combs beating and kicking. When she tried to lock herself in the bathroom, he pushed through and punched and kicked her while she curled up under the toilet. Her screams were drowned out by the loud music playing in the outside area of the hotel suite. When Mr. Combs, head of security, and an assistant saw Cassie after the assault, they began to cry. Cassie had two black eyes, a burst and bruised lip, and a huge welt on her forehead. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a photo of that surfacing. There's a photo of that surfacing, and when I see it, I'm gonna put it up so that you guys can, when I find it, I can put it up so you guys can see it. Um, Upon seeing the results of his vicious attack, Combs immediately took steps to conceal his wrongdoing. He forced Cassie to stay at his home in Holmby Hills along one of his sons. Where there, Mr. Combs FaceTimes Cassie and stated, "You gotta go up and put more makeup on. My son can't see you like that." So she did just that. She did what Combs demanded. And she felt like she had no choice. Y'all. Mr. Combs grapes Miss Ventura without the G. By 2017, 2018, Cassie became desperate to leave Combs and his abuse of her. She recognized that if she stayed with him, he would never be able to have a successful career or ever be physically and mentally safe. She therefore became determined to completely break away from Mr. Combs and his cycle of abuse and make concerted efforts to avoid him. In September 2018, she joined Mr. Combs for a dinner at an Italian restaurant in Malibu, California, for what she believed would be a discussion about concluding their relationship for good. After dinner, Mr. Combs and Cassie returned to Cassie's home, which was paid for by Mr. Combs because he paid for everything. She didn't have to pay for nothing. That's how you know that Ted album deal was some bullshit. He wanted her to be his personal slave. Pimp, if you will, whatever. Mr. Combs forced himself into her apartment and tried to kiss her. She told him to stop and attempted to push him away. Combs then forcefully pulled off Cassie's clothing and unbuckled his belt. He proceeded to force the act while she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. Soon thereafter, Cassie took steps to completely separate herself from her longtime abuser, including by leaving the home that he paid for and returning the car he purchased her. Good. Despite moving on, Cassie's address was posted online in early 2019, leading to fears for her safety. Cassie, who was under immense duress during the months after Mr. Combs raped her, took all steps possible to entirely remove herself from her abusive habit, including by entering into contracts to end her record deal with Bad Boy Entertainment. Mr. Combs' sexual and physical abuse of Cassie has caused her lifelong harm. As a result of the immense trauma Cassie endured for over a decade with Mr. Combs, she has suffered and continues to suffer from immense emotional distress. Following her escape from the cycle of abuse and sex trafficking she endured, she struggled with the physical and mental manifestations of her trauma. The birth of her two children, however, allowed her a new lease on life and gave her purpose. She credits her children with saving her from the trauma that had consumed over a decade of her life. Except from the months when she was pregnant with her children, Cassie struggled with her addictions to drugs and alcohol, because that just don't go overnight. That just don't stop. You have to put in the work to stop, especially if you've been doing it and for a very, very long time. Like, that's a process that she had to go through. So, quite naturally, she had to check herself into a rehabilitation center and see therapists and all those things. Now, also, because I actually skimmed over it, but I seen something where it said that Diddy had her medical records, and we all know what HIPAA law is. We already know you're not supposed to be messing with nobody else's medical records unless you have guardianship over that person. You're taking care of that person, or whatever the case may be. So the fact that he was able to get her medical records because she was suffering from memory loss because of the drugs that he started giving her, he wanted to keep that under wraps. And I'm sure the hospital or the clinic, wherever she went, he paid them people off. He paid them people off. Because otherwise, how did he have access to her medical records? See that? But yeah, y'all, I'm not about to read all this. You guys will go ahead and read all this for your own on your own time. So there are eight calls of actions, and I'm going to actually read the end of the complaint. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff prays judgment be entered in her favor against defendants, and each of them as follows. 1. For money judgment representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earnings, and all other sums of money, together with interest on these amounts according to proof. 2. For money judgment for mental pain and anguish and several emotional distress according to proof. 3. For punitive and exemplary damages according to proof. 4. For attorney's fees and costs. 5. For prejudgment and post-judgment interest. And finally, number 6, for such other and further relief as the court may deem just and proper. So like I said in the beginning, that $30 million could actually double to $60 million. It just really depends on all the evidence that's presented and how the jury is feeling that day, if it even gets to a jury trial. And I'm hoping that it gets to a jury trial, because she, just herself alone, has enough proven evidence to put that nigga away. Just her alone. So, yeah, y'all, this is crazy. Crazy. And let me see. It's actually something else. Oh, I am about to play a old interview that Tasha K did with one of Diddy's other ex-girlfriends. And y'all, she looked like she could be kind of related to Cassie. He definitely has a type. So y'all go ahead and watch this snippet of this interview, and then I'm gonna come back.
It got even worse. And he took one of my heels and tried to throw it at me, and then he like mushed my face and like really hard and made my nose bleed.
Wow.
And the only person that every time me and he like we get into like fights like that, the only person that ever helped me was D-Rock. Everyone else just kind of just allowed it to happen and just like looked the other way.
So most of his entourage were, I guess, enablers.
Like his staff.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
And they wouldn't say anything. They would just watch him.
No, not watch it, but kind of just walk away and just leave us alone and not really step in to stop.
Wow. Now, what made you stay? Because obviously there's baby number 2, and then there's more beatings, according to you, that happened after that, because that was just the first time.
Because he left on Sunday, I was like, I'm not doing this tomorrow. Like, I need some time to think. And so I told him that. I was like, I need time to think about it some more. Like, I'm not comfortable. And he was like, well, then you can get out my house. Like, he just being mean to me.
Name a few more instances.
The other time was he had caught me texting another man. We was in Miami, and it got really crazy that time. We was upstairs, and he had like, we were in his closet, and he like pushed me, and I fell to the ground, and then he like stood over me. So I was like laying on my back, and he stood over me, and he started like punching me like this. Like, he avoided my face, but he like started punching me like on the side of my head, and I was just like covering my face. And he did that, and then after he got done doing that, he like, cause he was standing, his legs were like in between me, so he stomped on my stomach like really hard, and I like took the wind out of my breath. I couldn't breathe, and he kept hitting me, and I was like pleading to him, like, can you stop? I can't breathe. And he like stopped for a little bit. He like grabbed my hair from the back and like was like punching the back of my head.
Okay, you guys, so you just seen the clips that I put up of the old Unwind with Tasha K interview with Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Gina. Now, y'all, let me tell you something. Like I said, I'm not too keen of Tasha K like that, but one thing about Tasha K, she get them interviews, and the fact that she had an interview about this a year or so ago, and she decided to go into the vault and bring it out as soon as Cassie's complaint came out about Diddy. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knows how to market. She knows how to get the views. So, you may not like the person, but you can't knock her hustle. You can't knock her hustle. So the fact that, because I've never seen this interview, so this is like something really interesting to me. And I will say this, for a woman who has endured that with a man, she was smiling too much for me. She was smiling too much for me, like it was funny or something, especially like when she was, talking about when he was hitting her in the head and when he stomped on her stomach and she couldn't breathe and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't be laughing. I would be fucking crying, because that's a traumatic situation that I'm never going to get over. Like, but she was just too smiley for me, and it just came off to me as if she was probably like kind of making some of that stuff up. Now, I will say that I might not believe everybody when it comes to Diddy, but everybody ain't lying on Diddy. And Cassie is one of them that is not lying on Diddy. I don't know about Gina. You know what I'm saying? She might have a hidden agenda. I don't know. But I'm not trying to knock her abuse experience or anything like that. But it just felt like she was smiling too much for me. And she was trying to find the right trigger words or whatever to, gain the sympathy and everything like that. So, I don't know. What do y'all think about that, about the interview with Gina and Tasha K? Do y'all think that she was telling the truth about everything? Do y'all think she was trying to, gaslight, and, she probably put a little fake story in there, whatever? I don't know. She was just smiling too much for me. I'm sorry. But, yeah, so this whole situation, like I said, it's about to get ugly. I'm here for it. I'm ready to do another episode on this. I'm waiting for more information to come out. I got one more last piece of information that actually came out. Dear Atlanta, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the unfortunate cancellation of Sunday's highly anticipated DeLeon Day Party. Recent serious allegations against DeLeon Tequila owner Sean Puff Combs have compelled us to take immediate action. In light of these circumstances, we believe it is in the best interest of our community to regrettably cancel the event. We understand the disappointment this may bring, but we remain committed to the value of integrity and accountability. However, we are excited to share that we have something special in the works for Tuesday, November 21st. We encourage you to stay tuned for an announcement that reflects the spirit and dedication to our community that has always been at the core of Agenda. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. Child, the events and the sponsors and stuff, they are pulling away already, and it's going to get worse. Child, I'm gonna leave the video right where it's at after I post that little piece of information. Y'all make sure to let me know what y'all think in the comments. Make sure y'all like this video and you subscribe to my channel. Last time I checked, I was at 129 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Help me keep the numbers going, and I will keep bringing y'all the content. So yeah, this is about to be a crazy end of 2023. I'm about to go ahead and call it a night, a Friday night that is, and get comfy and cozy in my bed. So y'all have a good night. Y'all have a great weekend, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye.